All right, condos, Matt. Condo market has been an interesting one to watch here. It's been kind of unprecedented times. We're seeing a lot of stuff happening in new construction. We're seeing active listings pile up across the board. We're seeing people that bought and kind of speculated a few years ago not being able to close on those units now. But we're also seeing family style units do quite well in certain pockets. So it's been a very interesting time to watch the condo market. And it does take a close eye if you are a condo owner right now, or if you are a first-time buyer that is thinking about taking advantage of the opportunity we're seeing in the condo market. You want to make sure you get it just right, which is why we keep looking at the condo market so specifically. So Matt, why don't you take it away with some of the numbers we're looking at for the month of March?
Yeah, so we did see a little acceleration in the median price and the transaction volume. Price is up 1.1%, so it's 7,000, and the transaction volume up 9.7%. New listings 26%. We've definitely seen a little bit more maybe in the freehold as a percentage than what we saw in the GTA condo, and then termination volume around 50%. But where you see the data is the real changes the year over year. You're down almost 6% from 676 to 637. Transaction volumes down almost 32%. New listings about the same, up 25.3% that we saw month over month last month. Mm-hmm. And then your days on market have increased from 17 to 22. And then the termination volume too, you're seeing 70% more terminations this year than we did last year.
And last year, it's interesting because the tail was still the condo market last year, and it wasn't that the condo market had the same boost that we saw in the freehold market in the springtime. Like, we were seeing challenges in the condo market then, and I remember speaking to a couple colleagues, because I don't know what it was last year, Matt. I had a ton of condo transactions, ton of condo owners that I was helping, and as I was talking to colleagues and saying, hey, what are you guys seeing in terms of showing activity? What are you seeing in terms of movement? Everybody was saying the same thing, man. It is sluggish out there. So to see this continued decrease year over year in terms of our transaction volume and, of course, our median price just goes to show what a struggle we've seen there. And while we see median price go up a little bit, what I read into this as isn't that the condo market's turning around. It's that of the ones that are selling, because we're selling so much fewer than we're used to, the cherry-picked ones, the good ones are selling and they're maintaining their price or doing that little bit better as buyers are starting to see value because they've come down in price so much, right? So they're now saying, yeah, I'll buy one of those. That is a good family size style. I'm getting a good layout. I'm in a nice building. I will buy that now. And I think that's why we're seeing that slight uptick in median price. It's not that the whole market's turning around. It's that those specific types of homes in good buildings are selling.
And listen, that's why they say location, 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 is because during markets like this, when you have a condo in a fantastic location, it's going to hold its value much better than ones that are a little bit further out of the way from transit and other areas like that. And, I understand that sometimes during hot markets, the location can be a little bit more money. But it not having that location, the price decreases can be quite drastic as well, especially if you need to move from that product.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it always brings me back to something that I was taught early on when trying to help people make those decisions. I had my broker at the time taught me it's never the wrong time to buy the right house, but it's always the wrong time to buy the wrong house. And again, in a hot market, if you're buying the wrong house, it's not necessarily that you bought in the hot market that was the issue. It's that when things turn around and units aren't selling, you are going to have to take a bigger hit to sell because it will only be the premier properties that are moving in those types of markets. Now, if you buy a good product at that time and you buy and sell in what is a down market, sometimes you can actually make a lot of money in a down market, especially if you're moving up, because the higher priced homes typically take a bigger hit percentage-wise. It just makes sense. So you can actually do quite well. But if your product is so undesirable that nobody wants to buy it, that cascade, that waterfall in terms of the hit that you might take is just a little bit higher. Listing volume, of course, we're seeing that uptick come, and I'm looking at this, our active listings being the biggest impact that we are seeing here in the condo market in the GTA. This does include condo townhomes, just for the record, so that we're aware. But yeah, we're at 10,000. when, let's say, even 5 years ago, I don't want to go to 2020 because we were only 2,600. But if you go back to 2015, 2016, you're hovering 5,000-6,000 units for sale. And here we are now at 10,000. It's quite drastic.
Yeah, from 2011, 2016, we were, you're averaging around 6,000 active listings. And then when you get in the hot markets like 2017 and 2020, you really see the fall off of active listings because all the new listings are just getting scooped up by the buyers. Exactly. So 10,000, that's quite an increase in what we're seeing sitting on the market.
Yeah. Sales volume, again, the lowest we've seen in that last 15 years. It'll turn around, but it's going to take a little while.
Because in a regular market, we should be around 3,000 sales right now.
Yeah.
So you're almost taking around 1,500 of those properties. So even with the sales in an average market, we still do have considerable amount of active listings sitting there.
We want to get back to that balance is what's going to be important. Okay, so again, hey, good news, guys. You're higher than you were in 2020. For those people that bought then. Anybody that bought more recently in terms of the condo market, yeah, you're in that state of decline. And Matt, maybe this is a good time to just mention, when you are a first-time home buyer or when you are somebody that's buying a condo as a stepping stone, it is very important that, like we talked about, you're picking the right building, the right unit, location, because when things do change, you don't want to be in what is an intermediate or stepping stone property that you can't ride out the current market. Like, the markets always do turn around. The condo market this time around is being hit exceptionally hard because of what we're going through. But typically, the market will turn around, so you got to just be able to ride it out. And that's why it's so important to talk about those 5-year or 10-year plans. Or is this only a 2-year plan? And if it's only a 2-year plan, we need to get extra picky about what we're choosing here to kind of help insulate you in case the market turns over. Because here, if you were somebody that bought in 2021 or 2022 and you're coming up to your 3 to 5 year plan, it's going to be a little while before you can start to see equity come back when we're looking at the average condo. So yeah, I don't know. Every time I see that, especially in the short term, it's just such a reminder that those things need to be sorted out. And even if you bought your house at the peak of the market in 2022, but it's your forever home and you're going to be there 15, 20 years while your kids are going to school or whatever, by the time this comes around, we're going to be up there anyway. So you're okay. You only get hurt when you have to sell the property, right? So it's important to make sure you got a good plan in place.
Absolutely.
All right. Months of inventory. No doubt this is the same we've been seeing across the board in terms of our condos and condo towns. We are at all-time highs in terms of months of inventory. When we look back to when, honestly, even in here, it wasn't that the market was flying after 2017, but it stayed a lot more stable. This is, if anything, Matt, when I see this is the tale of what went wrong in our condo market, because we're seeing a challenging market here. Like, here was a challenging time for a lot of stuff going on in terms of the housing market. We had some new changes come in, but we were able to maintain fairly steady in terms of that inventory. And look at where we've gone now. A systemic change has happened in the condo market for Toronto, and that's why we have this issue of so many homes that are just not selling. Or so many condos, sorry, they're just not selling.
So many condos, yeah. And again, people have been waiting a long time to be in a buyer's market. You're in a buyer's market right now.
Yeah.
I understand that there could be a little bit more pressure on the prices coming this year, but if you can negotiate a lower price right now and not have to wait, and maybe the market does start to change. It's hard to believe that it will in the short term, but there could be deals out there, and it doesn't hurt to at least go out and have a look and negotiate. And if you can't get it for what you want, you move on. But there can be definitely good deals there.
I'm going to say it again. You can go out and you can make the market. You don't know what's going on the other side of the table, and you can make the market right now with a fantastic opportunity. But you have to decide that that's something you want to do, and you can't. I think the biggest regret that some people have is they act on a fear instead of knowing what the outcome is that they're going for, and they let the fear decide if they're going to move forward or not. And that's what stops you from these times, right? And of course, ability. You have to be in the position to do it. But if you're in the position to do it, you should be seriously talking to somebody about making a plan to how go take advantage of this opportunity in the market that we don't usually see, that we don't see all the time in the GTA.